Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day. Welcome to your one and only Fastcast, your weekly podcast of everything football, fantasy, predictions, bets, news, everything football. We have it all here, and every Thursday morning, you're going to be joined here by the Fast Brothers. Let's get right into it, guys. How are we feeling?
I'm
Uh,
hungry. I'm not gonna lie.
A little
I don't know about
hungry?
you, but I'm feeling 22.
Stop.
Feeling
Oh, sorry.
22, a little hungry. We got week 15 football coming up. There's a month left. Who would have ever thought we would have been at this point in the season where we get a month left of football before we're in the postseason? It's gone pretty quick. And we're going to toss it off, as always, on your week 15 with your pick'ems. We all did fantastic last week. If any of you picked all of our picks, you made a ton of money. So make sure you tune in every week so you can follow those so you can continue to make a ton of money. We're going to start off Thursday Night Football. We're in San Francisco, divisional game. And we're going to talk about this team a little bit later. But the Rams, divisional game, visiting team, are a 2.5-point dogs coming in to San Francisco. Plus 2.5 on the Rams after a great win last week. Who do you guys have? For me, I start, right? I do my first pick.
Yep, man.
I'm taking Rams money.
Oh, that's it. It's
That's
my turn
it. I'm taking Rams
Okay.
money.
I don't know if it was the, welcome to the NFL moment, or what the deal was, but Mr. Isaac there, Isaac,
Orlando.
yeah, that guy, he went absolutely bonkers, and it was very surprising. I mean, obviously the injuries to both Jordan Mason and CMC kind of set him up for the role. 26.8 points and 2 touchdowns. It was pretty fun to see. I know the Rams and Bills combined to score almost 100 points in a game. So the Rams offense is absolutely clicking. And 49ers really have a lot left to be desired. So for that reason, I'm going to agree with you, brother. I'm going Rams money.
Yeah, Rams played their Super Bowl last week. What can you say? They gave it everything. They're
Taking
pretty
my
much all going
lines
to
now.
be exactly right. But yeah, just because the 49ers won against the Chicago Bears does not mean that they're all back. And so yeah, I'm gonna go with the Rams here because I think they have the means to do it, but it's just a matter of you know will they play their second Super Bowl in a row? Probably not, but it's okay. I'm gonna go with the Rams money line anyways.
Yeah, this one was a tough one to call, too. It looks like, I mean, with everything going on, the 49ers and injuries and blah, 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 but the Rams always play pretty not good against them. But we're going to have to, what'd you say, Rams money, too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, okay, we got a trifecta here. Let's go into the Sunday games. All right, what does Caleb say? Let's go into the Sunday games. Wee!
Wee.
Is that how you do it? That's, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty under the wee.
All right, let's go into Sunday. Wee! All right, we got Ravens going into New York Giants. My gosh, if you have anything to play for, this is the game to do it. I think the Giants purposely gave that a little low kick there, block shank thing to lose the game because they are playing for something this year, believe it or not. The Giants do have a chance at something.
We're gonna be number one.
The number one pick. So, first of all, there's no way they're going to win this game, regardless of if they're playing to throw
Any
or
given
not.
Sunday.
But when I look at this line, 14.5 points, brother. That is 2 touchdowns and a point that the Ravens have to win in New York. That's a lot of points in the National Football League. I mean, I'm assuming the starters are going to be taken out after the first half. Are the Giants like going to come back in the second half and get those garbage points? Man, this is a ton of points. Holy crap! I don't know. I'm taking Ravens minus 14.5.
Yeah, I'm one to go against the big spreads. 14.5, I think, is the biggest spread of the year
Pretty sure
between
it is.
Baltimore and New York.
Can we get some boop boop boop
We,
boop?
yeah, we've seen 13. I know we've seen 11, 12, things like that, but 14.5 is absolutely massive. And like you said, they are playing in New York, but there's only going to be like 47 people in the crowd, and 42 of those are going to be Baltimore fans that live in New York. So it's probably a home game for Baltimore if you think about it. They're pretty close. So for that reason, I'm also going to take the 14.5 spread. I don't see the Giants really giving any effort past like 10 minutes into the game.
Crazy amount of points.
It is a lot. But, I mean, Baltimore against the Giants, it's not pretty. So, yeah, give me the 14.5 for Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm glad you said something, by the way, Justin, because they easily could have beat the Saints last week, but it looked like they decided not to because, like you said, they were playing for something and they're playing for their first round pick. So even if they do kind of like come out, show out maybe for the first half, Baltimore Ravens are a second half team too. So like even if they kind of negate the score in the first half, they're going to get absolutely decimated, and it's not going to be pretty at all. And they're going to enjoy it because they want that first round pick. So yeah, give me the Baltimore Ravens spread minus 14.5.
Woo! Seems crazy to be going 2 touchdowns like that plus a point, but
That's the point.
we're going on to the next. Which I was looking at this line today, guys. Let me tell you, we got Commanders going into the Saints. Derek Carr, obviously we know what's going on with him. I don't think he's playing. He had some weird dive over a guy, stuck out his arm, broke his kneecaps, just getting his collarbone or whatever was happening, wrist. I don't think he's playing. Now, earlier today, this was at -7. Since a couple hours have passed, we got another half a point added to that, which in this case I think is going to drive me out the other way. I did have Commanders before we did this at -7, but something about that, adding that little half point, a little sneaky. I think it's going to sway me the other way, especially at home here. Even without Derek Carr, we get to see the Rizzler come in, or the Riddler, whatever we want to call him. Yeah, I think the half point, it says a lot. So I'm gonna go with a plus spread. With the loss, I think the Commanders win, but I think that half a point has a lot of meaning to this. Give me the Saints plus 7.5.
To answer the spread question, from what I've seen, the closest has been a 12-point spread in various weeks. 13-point spread, excuse me. I just saw that as I'm answering. It was a Lions Jaguars game. Was a 13-point spread. It seems to be the biggest that I can find.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that half a point doesn't really scare me at all. I'm going Washington -7.5 next.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I could see why you might be afraid if it was 6.5 to 7, but Rizzler's playing. The Saints are under 500. Commanders got this on lock. Give me the Commanders minus 7.5.
yeah. See, normally I would think that too. But just the way they've been playing, I don't know if they're on their downhill losing streak. They're off the bye.
Coming off a bye week too.
Off the bye, I don't know. I just this is a weird. I'm gonna take the plus. I'm gonna stick with it. Which brings us to the next fantastic game. Chiefs going into Cleveland. Is this a snow game? Can we get some boop boop boop? I'm gonna overuse that a little bit. Chiefs versus the Browns. We got a -4 for the Chiefs. who's gonna take the crown, guys? I mean, come on, really? Do we really have to ask this? But my question is, when does the luck run out? I think literally like 10 out of their 11 wins have all been fourth quarter, one possession game, last drive of the game, last defensive stand, and they just pull it out every game. At some point, does that wear off? Like, it's been all year long. You gotta think like this. I don't know. And what brother was saying is, they have got to be the weakest. What is it, 11-1 now? Team that I think I've ever seen in the National Football League history.
Of them, I think.
Yeah. Either way, the one loss team I've ever seen. I'm gonna take a -4 though. I don't think the Browns are that swell of a football team, especially getting crushed by the Steelers. They're in shambles. Sell the franchise. We got Chiefs -4 for this.
To answer your question as well, the weather in Cleveland, Ohio for this coming Sunday it's projected to rain, but it says high of 46. Obviously, if temperatures drop, that rain will turn into snow.
Cool.
Not only is a researcher, he's a beep boop 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 god. He's a weatherman. He is Nicholas. Okay, so yeah, I watched the end of that game. For the past month, I've been on night shift, so the past month I've seen barely any football, which is not fun because I've been sleeping all day. So I did get to watch the end of the Chiefs game, and boy, let me tell you, I was at work, and I watched the boing, and I was like, oh my god, it happened, but then it didn't boing the way I wanted it to boing. And then I got very upset. I didn't even get sad. I got upset. Because, like you said, when does the luck run out? When? Something like that. I mean, come on. They are playing Cleveland in Cleveland. It might be a snow game, but I don't think the Chiefs are as, I guess, vulnerable to snow as other teams, Miami. So I don't think it's going to hold them back that much. So I have the Chiefs -4. Even if it is snowing, I think it's a bigger game for Pacheco. And Cleveland is in shambles. They're a terrible franchise. Sell the franchise. Move on. Chiefs -4.
Yeah, so basically, I don't think the luck will run out because they obviously have made their satanic circles and done their chants and do everything in every practice. So, they have some dark forces on their side. So, I don't think it's going to run out, especially probably not against the Browns. I think the Kansas City defense is just going to be too big. Maybe they'll let one big Jerry Judy touchdown go through or whatever. But I don't think much more is going to happen offensively for the Browns. I think Kansas City heard, oh, we have all these close games, whatever, and now they're going to use extra dark magic to prove that they don't have to just win close games. So I think they're going to come out and they're going to absolutely smoke the Browns, and everyone's going to be like, oh, maybe they are actually a good team. But they're not. Don't be fooled. It's all the dark magic at play. So yeah, give me a Chiefs -4 here.
All right, we are all in agreement on that one as well. We are going to Texas. Don't be alarmed. It's not the Dallas Cowboys, the best team in Texas. It is the Houston Texans. Miami Dolphins, visiting team, stepping in. Their 3-point dogs are at a +3 coming in as the away team. How do we feel about that, guys? Plus more on the number 1 seed going in the FC before we move on to this game, by the way, even though I already did. All right, we got, for me, at home, I'm going to take the Texans. Did the Dolphins win last week? Who did they play?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Jets.
They played the Jets. Oh, yeah. And that was the overtime game. Yeah, man, I think that was a lot closer than it should have been. But even with Dolphins being in their must-win every game desperation mode, Yeah. I mean, I could see this being pretty close. I think the 3-point spread is pretty spot on here. Yeah, give me the Texans field goal. -3.
So this one's kind of this one's kind of tricky for me, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. Um, Obviously, the game against the Jets went to OT. You really don't like to see an overtime game against the Jets if you're Miami or a Miami fan. That's just something you want to avoid. Uh, the Jets are terrible this year, and the Dolphins have been playing pretty well since Tua came back. They only dropped one against the Packers. Um, I don't know if Tua is back for the Bills. I can't remember, but I digress. The Texans, I've said multiple times, they're not playing up to their caliber. I mean, a loss to the Titans and then scraping win against the Jaguars just leaves me kind of questioning things. I mean, losing to the Titans at home is not good. So for me, I think Miami is in that must-win situation. They have to get, put the pedal to the metal. So I think they come out with fire, and I think they actually take this game. So for my first whoopsie daisy of the week, I'm taking Miami to win this game against Houston.
All right. Well,
I don't hate the call.
alternatively, you say it's a must win for Miami. I think it's going to be a must win, very positive win for the Texans. I don't. I guess not a must. Yeah, obviously not a must win, but I think they're going to want to win here. It's at home. The Houston Texans are over 500. And you know what that means for the Dolphins. Give me the Texans -3.
It's not cold, though.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Moving on. We are going to the Cincinnati Bengals visiting the Tennessee Titans. I don't know why I introduced them like that, but for me, I think this is going to be a pretty interesting game because right now, as it stands, I'm pretty sure the Titans have the #1 defense in the league, whether that's yards gained or yards against or whatever it is. As we know, notoriously, Bengals throw for 6 touchdowns a game and lose every game. So, do they score 6 touchdowns against what seems to be a bright and sound defense? Now, you got to look. Who have the Titans really played to hold all these teams to, especially this being, and let me look at their schedule here. We got Commanders. Oh my gosh, they got absolutely destroyed by the Commanders. Oh my gosh, they lost last week too to the Jags. Wow, what a game, 10-6. Okay, they beat the Texans.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good. Yep, yep. They lose to the Vikings, Chargers, Patriots. Oh, they played the Lions though and dropped a 52 bomb. Yeah, they played some pretty good solid teams. So I'm looking at the defense and it's like to their own. I think they hold solid teams, even though they lose a lot to less offense. Now we go to the flip side and the Bengals. I think we all know the problem here. Their defense has been losing them games. Let's be real. So do the Titans score a lot of points? Is what I'm looking at. I think this is going to be a pretty nice and close game. I got the Titans +5. I'm going to take it.
Now, the Titans' defense, I will give them that. They do have an outstanding defense. The record is 3-10, so they're losing a lot of games, even with that high defensive mark that we see them have. However, you look at the Bengals, you look at Joe Shiesty. Joe Shiesty is disgusting. That team is very, very good. Does not, by any means, translate to their record. They're scoring a lot of points pretty much every single game they play. And I think that this actually might be one of the biggest tests of the year. Well, I wouldn't say that because they played Detroit, but for the Titans, Cincinnati scores a lot of points every game. Joe Burrow is having an absolute MVP caliber year. He will not get it, and we'll get into that. But I think this is the week we see another hindrance on the Titans' defense. Obviously, dropping, what was it, 40 or 50 against the Lions. I think we see not quite that much, but I would honestly reach out and guess that Cincy scores 30 on them. So I'm taking Cincy -5.
Yeah, it's like the number one offense, number one defense, whatever. However, you know, I don't think it's gonna be that close. I think the Bengals, Jamar Chase, maybe even T Higgins might actually do something this week. Um, yeah, I think the Titans offense is gonna make the Bengals defense look like actually somewhat okay, and the
That's
offense
fair.
will do the rest. So, Bengals -5 for me.
Oh, you guys had that pretty easily. That one's going to be a flip, and you're going to be really sad when I'm right about that one. All right, moving on. We're going into Jacksonville, Florida. The Jaguars. And this game, might I tell you, is Eyeball Voider of the Week. Eyeball Voider of the Week. Yeah, this is going to be probably like what we had last week, a 10-6er here. Woo wee! Wow, what do we take? 3 points. Are they even gonna score 3 points this game? I don't even know. It's tough to tell. I'm gonna take the Jets -3 here, just for the win. You know, we got the backup and the Jags coming in, and they lost a heartbreaker against their divisional last week. They gotta win something, man. Come on, Jets. 14 years in a row. That's the longest professional sports ongoing active streak of not making the postseason. Is that of all time? It can't be of all time.
I
Can't be of
doubt
all
it.
time. Yeah, there's no way it's of all time. But I mean, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. 14 years. They're gonna win this game. I'm gonna take them -3. And yeah, what do you guys think?
Well, I will say it's very depressing to be a Jets fan, Peter. Sorry. So it's hard to watch them. This is definitely the biggest I think honestly all year. This might be the biggest eyeball avoider we've seen. Both terrible teams, and now without Trevor Lawrence, the Jaguars are pretty much just playing for experience. They took him out for the year because of his shoulder injury. And I was saying at work, I was talking to my chief, and he was saying uh, it was kind of a. Well, I told him I think it's probably the concussion. Obviously, would have sidelined him a game, but being that the Jags are where they are, they probably just like took his shoulder that he probably would have played through for the rest of the year if they were in a standing to maybe fight for a playoff spot or something like that. But being that they're pretty much cooked, that concussion took them out for the game, and they're just yeah, just get your shoulder fixed, and we'll try to circle back next year, kind of thing.
I agree.
I also have the Jets -3, and I couldn't tell you exactly why. I literally think it's just like a gut read in a sense, but this is definitely a game I'm not even gonna attempt to watch. I mean, I'll be sleeping probably again all day anyway, so um, yeah, I'm definitely looking to avoid this game entirely. But Jets -3.
You're not gonna watch the Eyeball Voider of the Week.
Actually, I'm switching to days before we do our little holiday stand down, so I might actually be up this Sunday to watch some football.
I'm
Can I
gonna
get a hell
pretend
yeah?
like I knew exactly what that means and sick. Yeah, sounds good.
Justin, to answer your question about that playoff or the playoff streak of, I guess, missing the playoffs, in all of professional sports, it says actually the Washington Nationals hold
Oh
that
my god.
record. They
Oh, the Nationals suck.
They missed October baseball from 1982 to 2011. That is 29 consecutive years.
Wow.
Oh,
But the Jets have the current longest active streak of missing the postseason, tied with the Buffalo Sabres at it would be now 14 years if the Sabres miss this year as well.
Wow. Both New York
which
teams go
you know
here.
they will.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're
Yeah,
pretty much on
Sabres,
track
yeah,
to
they're not
miss.
looking too good. So
Yeah.
unless they start winning every single game. But
Oh yeah, but for me, yeah, Jags don't even get 3 points, so yeah, Jets -3.
Yeah.
wow, okay. All right. You think it's a shutout? First shutout? Is this
No, no, not actually. But I will say though, Mac Jones should not be in the NFL. He actually sucks.
You got to feel bad for him. He's trying to
No.
circus out there.
What do you think? What do you think that's about, though? Like, why?
What,
Why does he suck? Or
Mac and
Like,
Cheese Jones?
why? I mean, do you think it was New England and that whole system there kind of messed him up?
Oh,
I mean, sure, there's probably some developmental issues
eh,
quarterback wise, but
hopping around, coaches' confidence levels just never clicked in the big leagues from college. Yeah,
he also never
all of the
really
above.
sat behind that great of a quarterback, right?
All
So I
of the
mean,
above.
all of the above.
So yeah, let's go on to the next game, guys. How about them Cowboys losing the game on a
I was gonna say, where are we going?
absolutely horrendous special teams block punt. The question's going is why are you even remotely near that ball after it's bouncing around? You blocked a punt. It's going like 15 yards. Just who cares? Don't. You're in field goal range. You run out the clock, you win the game. But no, this guy had to try to get an extra 2 yards trying to pick up the ball in the middle of three defenders for absolutely no reason. Maybe he didn't know the rule. Who knows? But they lose the game. And now they're going to Carolina as the 2.5 point dogs. What the heck is going on, guys? We're the not against the Panthers? What? How is this possible? And now here's what I'll say. Usually in these games where you're like, and for me, I feel like this is a game where it's like, why are the Cowboys not the favorites for this game? I would hope you guys would agree. Which is exactly why I'm going to take the Panthers minus 2.5.
Okay.
Because a lot of times when this happens, you're like, why is this? Why is this the line? Why are the Panthers favored at home minus 2.5 against the Dallas Cowboys? How is that even possible? And then it ends up happening almost every single time. So for betting reasons, I'm going to take the minus 2.5, even though I feel like there's almost seems like this should be an easy win, I would say. But betting reasons, I'm going to take it. Panthers minus 2.5.
Yeah, it's not looking good for the Dallas Cowboys at all, and we knew that for a while coming in. And getting a underdog against the Carolina Panthers. It isn't Carolina, but like I feel like the Cowboys are almost better slated away than they are home because I don't know why. They just can't win in Jerry World. So I, it's hard to look at this and wonder what, like you said in earlier weeks, Vegas knows something we don't, but it's still the Carolina Panthers. So I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know what's happening. But I will say I'm still comfortable picking the Cowboys for this game.
Are you taking the
So I'm
spread
going to
or are
take
you
their money
taking the
line.
money?
No, I'm taking their money line
Okay.
for a whoopsie daisy and a half.
Okay.
And a half.
And a point?
Yeah.
And a point.
It's one of those games where, or one of those times again. It's just like, are the Cowboys like actually underdogs in this game?
Yeah, that's what I was saying too.
I mean, I know Panthers have kept it close with a couple teams, and Bryce Young is actually looking like pretty decent now, and um, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I think the Cowboys are they're not horrible. Like they're still an okay team. I think they are exactly. They're playing almost exactly like what the record indicates, and I feel like the Panthers are too. And for
I
that
could agree with
reason,
that.
I
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. And as long as they don't do a typical Dallas Cowboy block punt, touch the ball, fumble it, and give the ball away with 2 minutes left, I think they win this game. But then again, it is the Dallas Cowboys, so I any given Sunday it could happen again. But then again, we know something about a block punt too. Don't want to talk about it. But yeah, Dallas Cowboys. I think I'm just gonna rock with their money line this game.
All right, you taking Cowboys money too. Yeah,
so.
I thought it should be the same thing. Like, there's no way we're underdogs in here, but just the Vegas thing. The Vegas thing
Yeah,
has
Vegas.
me
Yeah.
has me thrown off there. So that brings us to what I am probably gonna call game of the week. Game of the week. We got the Battle of the Pennsylvania Teams. Pittsburgh Steelers heading over to Philadelphia, playing against the red hot, I think 8-win streak now, Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles are -5 at home for this game. And I don't I don't quite know. I don't quite know about this one. -5 is a lot of points, and I don't believe in Jalen Hurts yet. But what I do believe in is backwards hurdle man. That guy might even have a case. I know very earlier in the year we said a non QB Derrick Henry leading in everything. This guy is the offense. This guy might be the team. This guy might even be the defense. He scores so many points, runs so many yards, gets so many checkdowns, gets so many touchdowns. They don't even need Jalen Hurts to do the little push my booty push, whatever they want to call it now.
Touch my butt push.
Yeah,
Yep, it's
touch
push
my
my booty
butt
push.
I think with backwards hurdle man is literally the MVP, which is going to be a tough feat for the Steelers, especially a away team. But my gosh, are we underrating the Steelers? That's going to be a question. I might dive in a little deeper on that. It almost seems like they have such. I don't want to say like stale isn't the right word to use it. There's like no pizzazz or anything about the games or whatever, but it feels like they're just like in the background, and they just win a game, and then they win the next game, and the next game, and the next game,
day, and the next day.
and then you're just like this has got to be a team like fully respected, and this is going to be a close one, I think. Man, 5 points, that's a lot too. Do the Eagles offense pop off here? Do the Steelers offense pop here? I'm going to take Steelers +5.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, +5 seems like a lot against one of the best defenses, but like you said, it's backward turtle man just doing what backward turtle man has been doing all year. It's very hard to count the Eagles out of any game now with Saquon. And this is another game that's like where's the spread coming from? It might be the lack of offense that the Steelers have shown, but I mean recently they've been scoring points, they've been winning games, they're on a win streak, their defense is still elite. So for that reason, I'm gonna take the Pittsburgh +5 here. I think their defense definitely keeps them in the game. Obviously, Saquon might have a huge game. It's hard to, like I said, count him out of any game at any time for any reason. So it's one of those games that you really look at and it's who knows. So I think game of the week is actually a very good call for this one. I'm not gonna lie.
Before I go, let's hear from the Steelers, man. What do you got to say, Nick?
George Pickens is listed as doubtful for this game. I think that's the impact of the spread. And I'm so excited to watch Saquon Barkley do the first ever backwards handspring over a defender in this game.
Oh,
And that'd be sick.
yeah, that is true. If George Pickens doesn't play, that means no fights on the sideline, unfortunately. That's gonna take the entertainment level down a little bit, but still gonna be a good game for sure. I think that the Steelers still keep it close. So I'm gonna go with the +5. I think Eagles, Jalen Hurts. I think he stinks. He's a big old stinker. And that's +5 Steelers. Ooh.
it's hard to go. It feels like every time I go against the Eagles, I don't know because of my deep hatred for them. It always seems like they pull it out. So I've been betting against them a lot because Eagles suck. All right, we're going to Colts and the Broncos. I'm gonna take. I'm just gonna make this one quick. I'm gonna end up going with the Broncos -4. I think this is a playoff team. I think with 4 weeks out, they're gonna show some real playoff potential. I like the direction of it. Who would have guessed? Did anyone have the Broncos this year? Let's be honest. Did we have them making it this year? Let me see my predictions actually from way back when and see if I even had them. I did not. I had them missing. I had them 5-12 actually. So, yeah, there we have it. So they're making the push here. They're gonna show with the 4 weeks out. They're gonna show they're a playoff team. They're not gonna drop one at home to the Colts here. Give me a -5.
I said this pretty much all year. The Colts keep it close against really good teams. Most of the time, they end up losing the game just because they're not that powerhouse team from years and years and years and years and years before. So this one might be one of those games that's really tough, really close. But I'm gonna say that realistically speaking, the Denver Broncos are just on a tear. They're a much better football team at this point. And I don't see the Colts really holding them at bay. So I'm going to take the Denver spread here.
Yeah. Actually, if going back to my my post-draft predictions, I had the Broncos dead last in my rankings.
Oh wow, yeah, I see that now. That's
Yeah,
actually crazy.
I'm not entirely sure where that came from. I can't even remember like why, like last year, like what I, what I was even thinking there. Um, but yeah, they're Sean Payton. I don't know. I think he's just one of those guys that is always going to have a good team. He knows he's a good coach, and he knows how to develop quarterbacks. Bo Nix looks very solid as a rookie. I mean, even though granted his age, he's still a rookie. He's still new to the NFL, and he's been doing good. So I think, like you said, this is a playoff team for sure. I think no matter who plays them in the playoffs, they're gonna have a hard time. Uh, and so I like the Broncos here. I'm gonna go with the Broncos spread as well.
Let's move on. What do you say?
Let's move on.
We're going to LA, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After taking the lead in the division, after the Falcons lost, the Buccaneers win against the Raiders. And the Chargers, last minute field goal loss to the Chiefs. Man, they had a good game. And to be honest, I like the way this team's going as well. These are one of those teams that are going to be putting up a pretty solid, at this point, pretty sure they're going to make it to the playoffs, especially if the Dolphins end up dropping this week. I think it's pretty much sealed there. But yeah, I like the way they got Chargers -3 for this game, and I'm gonna take it. I think they bounce back, have a good bounce back game at home. As much as I like Baker this year and Bucky Irving going crazy and Mike Evans back, he's going for his 1K year again. I like that offense a lot. I think they have a solid coach team in the Chargers, and they have their bounce back game. They don't go 2 in a row loss here. I think they got it -3 against the Buccaneers.
Yeah, the Bucks are kind of in a very bad place right now. The Chargers, obviously a tough loss against the Chiefs, but we can blame Black Magic for that one. I think the Chargers are a very good football team this year, and it was surprising to me, like I said last week, how good they've been doing and the turnaround for that organization. This game in LA, I'm taking the -3.
Dang. Everyone's going against Daddy Mayfield. That's interesting. I do like the Chargers. I think they've been absolutely fantastic. But I think the one thing that really hurts them is losing J.K. Dobbins. I think it was desperately needed in that game against Kansas City. That and not having Lad McConkey was also pretty. Of course,
I think he's back.
it's against. Yeah, he should be, but of course, they have all these injuries right before they play Kansas City. Go figure. They did their little ritual and made sure he didn't play for him. But yeah, I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think the Chargers defense is pretty phenomenal, and the Chargers without their run game, it's going to be low scoring. I think on both sides of the ball, and for that reason, I think it's going to be a field goal game. I'm going to go with the Bucks +3 here. I think it's going to be a field goal difference, and I think the Chargers will pull it out in the end, but I think it's going to be close.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's go on to Detroit. And this, ladies and gentlemen, also has potential. And we might have two. I might even just count two of them just because. Usually we do one a week, but this could be V2 of Game of the Week. Game of the Week. We get the Bills as a visiting team after a heartbreaking defeat. Man, there was a lot of points in that game. They clawed back. They had some fight. One decision. And the announcers were saying it as it was happening. And I think that's a coach's call. The sneak there, where they had to force use a timeout. Not to play. You can't waste the clock. You can't waste the time like that. As soon as they stopped that down and they had to use a timeout, that was the game right there. I thought they had all the momentum and a real shot at going for it. Just do a little chip shot, and even if you take 3 downs there, you got to save all 3 of those timeouts. Very crucial. I think that was a coaching loss there. Even though their defense, man, is that going to be a question mark going forward? Because they were as thin as paper that game, and that was definitely the loss. Definitely the reason for the loss there is literally a semi going through a thin slice of paper for that game for the Bills defense. Enough about the Bills. Actually, not enough about the Bills. I'm taking them +2.5 against the Lions.
Oh my God, really?
Yep.
That's actually quite surprising. The Lions are, like we said, week in, week out, they're just a powerhouse of a football team. They're very scary to come up against. They're showing it week in and week out that they just do not care about life for any other team. And it's hard for me to say that the Bills are going to keep it close with Detroit because of that fact. Detroit is just so good. But my second whoopsie-daisy of the week, give me the Buffalo Bills. Give me them Bills, baby.
I probably could have.
Yeah.
I could probably write that in every week that he's going to pick the Bills.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So about this game, and I've had a little time to think after the last game. I think if the spread was -40 points for the Detroit Lions, I'd probably pick it because the Buffalo Bills defense is so god awful, horrendous, trash, garbage. Literally the worst thing I've ever had to put my eyes. I'm
my
so
gosh.
honestly depressed that my eyeballs had to watch this game because I have some sort of relation to the Bills where I feel like I must have to watch even on the defensive side of the ball. If I just watched Josh Allen and the offense the whole entire time, I might have been a happy person, not even looking at the score. But because I had to feel like the need to watch the defense as well, I became incredibly upset and sad. And I think if you have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery on your teams in fantasy, put them in. They're going to get you 40 points each. The Bills defense, rush defense, is god awful. It's going to be horrible. Basically, I'm thinking of it this way. The Lions are a much better Rams in the fact that they have a better run game, and I think their pass game is about equal. And we have DeMar Hamlin as a safety, and I think also Jameson Williams too, Jameson Williams, that's his name. Speedy guy. Yeah, he's just gonna run past DeMar Hamlin 3 times, get it number 3. Haha, very funny. He's gonna get 3 touchdowns, go deep. It's going to be a high-scoring game. The over/under is only 54.5. I'd definitely take the over because Josh Allen is going to make it somewhat close. So he's going to try to do what he can on offense. But the Bills' defense is so terrible that the Lions are still going to win by like 14. So yeah, Detroit Lions -2.5. But go Bills.
Caleb, that's my thing. You're supposed to let me have that as the angry, upset fan, and you're
Only for the
supposed to root
Cowboys.
for your team.
Oh no, I'm not even mad.
Oh, okay. Well, there you have it. Let's go on to the next game: Patriots and Cardinals. I'll keep this short a little bit. I'm just gonna simply take the Cardinals here, -5.5. Although I do think they're pretty much done for the year. Double loss to Seahawks does not look good. I mean, you're game 2 back in the division now. The Rams are looking like they're up and coming threat. I think they're out of it. 4 weeks left. I don't see them crawling back in this one, but I do have them winning this game. So give me a -5.5.
December 13th, the beginning of the next Call of Duty Double XP weekend.
December 13th.
So that's in 3 days.
That's before the week. Oh shoot! Do I change? And that's that might throw a wrench in things. Actually, to be complete, now I'm gonna take a -5.5.
Isn't that sad? That's an actual consideration, though. That's something I
You gotta think
immediately went
about
to
it.
look up just to see.
You gotta think about it.
It's actually hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet. Arizona Cardinals -5.5. Don't care about double XP.
Double XP. We all know what happened last time there was double XP. They lost. They suck. Go Patriots +5.5.
Wait, I think they won actually.
They did win.
Oh,
But I don't know. Maybe we can boop it.
+5.5.
Yep. Okay. He's taking Pats. All right. Sunday night game. We are going Green Bay Packers versus the Seattle Seahawks. -2.5 for the Packers. Going into Seattle, we get a primetime game here. I'm liking the Packers. I'm going to take them. I don't necessarily. I think the Seahawks are like one of your. I mean, they play good. They play really solid at times, and they got the stars to pop off at any moment in the game. They just seem like, I guess, middle road to me. I don't know. I haven't. They can pop off at any moment, but the firepower behind the Packers right now and the way they're playing, I think I like them a lot more. So give me a field goal here. Yeah, give me a -2.5.
This one's kind of tricky in Seattle. Seattle's obviously a very tough place to play. Yeah, I think it gives them a little bit of an edge, but the Packers are just on a roll. They're playing very good football. It's hard to say that Seattle's going to beat them when all throughout the year, I mean, they started hot and they dropped off heavily, and now they kind of, they beat the Cardinals, whoop-de-doo. I'm going to take the -2.5 here for the Packers for the sole purpose of the Packers. They're just a better all-around, all-year football team.
You know what?
You said you take Packers?
Yeah, Packers. Spread, -2.5.
Yeah. The Seahawks, their defense, I think, is getting better each week. I think, kind of, maybe, sort of. And their offense, I mean, their big thing was really the run game, which was kind of lackluster. I mean, Geno Smith, where he's not the greatest quarterback, he has a lot of passing yards because, I mean, got JSN and DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett throw too, which is a very solid trio there. It was their run game that was, I think, really hindering them a lot. And I don't know, last week, if they can continue to do that, I think they're going to put up a really good fight against the Packers. But, I mean, Packers just went toe-to-toe with the Lions. And that's something that, not a lot of teams can do. I know it's a divisional matchup, but, I think the Packers are still a very solid football team as well. Josh Jacobs is also coming on very, very strong. And yeah, so I think this is actually going to be a really good game. I kind of like how close it is in the spread. I think it's pretty good. Uh, I think it's a close game. I think it's a field goal game, but because it's 2.5, I'm gonna go with the Packers. I think the Packers still win this game. Yeah, I'm gonna go Packers minus 2.5.
We all got the Packers. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to. We have 2 Monday night games. Did you know we had 2
Gross.
this week? Yeah, I always say
I
when
did
there's.
when I
didn't.
looked at DraftKings.
Yeah, I don't like the 2 like prime time. They should never do that. But who am I? I'm just a fan.
Well, it kind of makes it tough too when there's no teams on bye.
Yeah, I mean you could just throw in another like 1 o'clock, like all.
Yeah, throw in another 1 o'clocker. Who cares?
Yeah.
Red zone probably.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever it is, they got the 2 on Monday. Divisional game. Let's start there. We got Bears visiting the Minnesota Vikings. It's about a touchdown spread here. The Vikings favored. Man, the Bears did collapse this year. They're on a pretty big cold streak right now. I thought they were going to be really strong this year. I'm kind of disappointed. They had a pretty semi-easy schedule too, at least in the first half. They just didn't pull it together. What the heck happened? Nah, Bears. I'm going to take Vikings minus 6.5. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to take a minus 6.5.
I'm going to do the opposite here. I'm actually taking Chicago plus 6.5 because of the fact that I don't think Minnesota has that strength that they had in the beginning of the year to bring them to one of those teams that, like everyone thought, Super Bowl caliber. I mean, I will say that they are a Super Bowl caliber football team, just on the lower end of the scale here than we thought in the beginning of the year. So, for that reason, give me the Bears plus 6.5.
No, Bears suck. Give me the Vikings minus 6.5.
Poor Bears. And, and let me do the actually next. And here we go. Whee! All right, we're going to the Falcons and the Raiders. Another Monday Night Football game. 8:30 o'clock. These two almost starting at the same exact time, overlapping games. We're going to have to flip the channels back and forth to see the games. Actually, this might be an eyeball order. You might not even want to watch either of them. I'm running out of breath. Oh, my God. I'm going to take the Falcons minus 4.5 here, even though the underwhelming performance they've had. I think they tie back up the division here. And actually, since they have the head-to-head tiebreaker here, I think they're going to take back the division from the Bucks because they're going to go down to the Chargers. Falcons win this game against the Raiders, evens it up. They have the head-to-head. Falcons, man, we got to go into the next 3 weeks here to see what's going to happen with that division. Woo, that's going to be a tight race. But yeah, simply enough, give me the Falcons.
I'm going to ride that train with you. I think minus 4.5 is a good spread here. Both teams are kind of ass right now. Mainly the Raiders are more ass than Nicki Minaj. So I will say Falcons minus 4.5. It should be an easy spread for them to hit.
Well, there is one team also fighting for first place in something, and that is the Raiders. So
You're not wrong.
that's another thing too we got to consider here.
You are not wrong.
The Brock Bowers is that Lamborghini underneath the little shed thing. I don't know that picture. You guys know what I'm referring to.
I do, yeah.
I don't know if it's a Lamborghini either. I kind of forgot what the. Anyways, yeah, Falcons minus 4.5. Raiders blow big ol' weebies.
All right,
Sorry,
and
Tom Brady.
that'll seal it. All 16 games. We are done with the buys. All 32 teams play until the end of the regular season. Guys, let's move on. We're in week 1 of your fantasy playoffs. Woo! Let's go! Yeah, we made the playoffs. Yeah, let's bring our little home. We got 2 home leagues going in. How did we end up? Are we excited? Did we place where we wanted to? Did we have a great year? Was our whole entire starting first 5 draft picks injured for the full entirety of the season? Yes, no. Let's talk about it. Who is your big surprise? Let's do a star player on your team, out of the team, one you're looking forward to draft in the future, one you're starting every single week of the playoffs. Are you going to win the home leagues? For me, placed 1 seed. Maybe 1 seed. tied for 1 seed or something in one of them. And man, I lost and I came in 5th. I just missed in our second one.
Oh.
I mean, our home leagues, I just would rather avoid talking about.
Brother, what happened?
I mean, I lost a lot. That's what happened.
I lost.
Yeah, our home leagues just didn't pan out this year very well at all. Missed playoffs in both of them. However, in my 2 work leagues, I have 2 different ones. One is paid, the other one is free to play. I am in first in one of them and third in the other one. I'm playing very well in the work leagues. One of my teams is absolutely broken, banana bonkers. I don't know what happened in the draft. I don't know if people fell asleep and accidentally set draft order to like pick from the bottom or what. But the one work league that's paid, I'm third, and the free to play is I'm in first. I'm 11-2, 12-2. Pardon me. And it's been really fun. It's been a good time. I think next year going in, I want to talk about. You mentioned it last week as well, brother. Mr. Brock Bowers. I mean, dude has been absolute legitness. He is probably the best rookie tight end we've ever seen. This dude is absolutely nuts bonkers playing on a very bad team. So it is really cool to see. I think he's going to be a high ticket item next year, for sure. Like top of the drafts, definitely over Kelsey, definitely over a lot of the other ones. Like Sam Laporta this year has kind of disappointed, I'm sure, a lot of people. But Brock Bowers, numero uno, is the guy that a lot of people are going for, and definitely I'm going for. Maybe the Raiders shake something up so they get a better offense. Maybe they end up getting that number 1 pick, and we'll see where that takes them. But Brock Bowers definitely number 1. Surprised, I'm sure, a lot of people. Ladd McConkey is kind of a little bit less desirable than I thought he'd be in the beginning of the year, as well as the Chargers are playing. I still like him as like a late round draft pick next year. And maybe he'll be better next year with the experience under his belt. Quentin Johnson and him are a pretty good duo. But the one person that is, in my mind, probably, I don't want to say the biggest surprise, but I said it at the very beginning of the year when we were having our pickups and, leave alones, Darnell Mooney. This dude, I predicted 8 touchdowns on the year. He's only 3 away. He's averaging, it's like 13.5 points per game on an Atlanta team that's really lackluster. He's had really only 2 games over 100 yards, but I mean, he's getting targets, he's getting receptions, he's floating around that 5 average for targets, maybe 6. And he's just, he's surprised the hell out of me this year with how well he's been playing. But that's going to happen when you go from, the Bears to the Falcons with Kirk Cousins under center. So, and we'll see, next year we'll see if he's, playing with Penix or Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is kind of, there's a question there whether or not he's going to be starting next year. This year it was a question, but their coach pretty much squashed that pretty quickly. He said Kirk Cousins is the guy they're going to stick with. And I don't know, it'd be interesting to see a rookie quarterback play with that core. It's really, I think it'd be really fun to see.
Well, yeah, for me, I'm in 6 fantasy leagues, made the playoffs in all 6. Go me. Sorry, I just know what I'm doing. It's just my intelligence coming into play here. Because fantasy is all skilled, no luck at all. But yeah, I'm 9-5 in both the home leagues, just kind of squeaking by. I say 9-5 in both leagues, which is kind of okay. Just barely made playoffs. Yeah, but in this league, 9-5 brings me in second place, and I also have over 120 points above the person that is 12-2. However, apparently I'm just like the Bengals. I have 0 defense, and so my points
Three
against
defense.
are also 120 points above the next closest person with the points against there. So yeah, my defense is a little lackluster in this league, but I mean, right now going into week 15, I'm looking at 143 points projected just starting off the week. I mean, I got a solid lineup here. My other one, I honestly thought when I was drafting, it was pretty mid. I didn't think I was going to make the playoffs even. I mean, I was kind of betting on, and this will go into my big surprise too. I was kind of betting on Jaden Daniels. I was kind of going running backs here in this league, which is always a very questionable thing to do. Um, and it kind of paid off, sort of. Um, I mean, I got HN, which is huge. I got my two good wide receivers. I got Nakua and St. Brown. That obviously absolute studs. But yeah, I was really all hedging on like a very late quarterback. And Jaden Daniels, as a rookie, has been producing in fantasy very well for me. So he's a guy that I might actually even look to go back to. It's going to be a good sophomore year, I think, for him. I think he's got a good supporting cast too, and they're going to keep building around him. He's a rookie, so yeah, I think they're going to build around him. I think that's a guy that I'm going to want to take up. So, but yeah, all 6 leagues looking good for me. Yeah, I can't wait to win them all.
I just I tied in that second home league of ours, the 4th place. We both had 7-7. They just had a little bit more points than me, which kicked me out. Man, they were losing that week too, and they pulled it off. They had Jamar Chase, I think, is what it was.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
That'll happen.
That pretty much ended it, which I was super sad to see. By the way, they beat the 10-2 or whatever, the 12-2 person. It doesn't lose all year until my playoff implications are on the line. Then whoopsie, happens every time. But in case you didn't know, Jaden Daniels is the 7th most scoring fantasy player of the whole entire 2024 season this year.
Yeah,
So
he's been massive.
yeah, that's
Oh.
I would say huge payoff. That was actually one of my lists. We have a lot of quarterbacks in the top 10 here. Lamar Jackson being the highest scoring fantasy player right now this year. Josh Allen is the number 2
Daddy.
quarterback. Jamar Chase is, if you want to go in order, Jamar Chase is second, but I'm going quarterbacks here. Josh Allen second, Joe Burrow third. Surprisingly to me, Jalen Hurts is 4th, and I think that has a lot to do with their stupid push play, but and not more the yards, but the touchdown implication. But for fantasy, I mean, you don't have to be good; you just have to score the touchdowns and get points. And then it goes Jaden Daniels, and then Caleb, his guy there.
One thing I want to add really quick too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure before we even started, when we were talking about who to look to draft in your leagues, I was telling you draft Brandon Aubrey. Well, frick that guy. Screw that guy. Chris Boswell. He's the tight end 1 on the season. He could match the wide receiver 6. He'd be in that spot. That is absolutely insane. Draft your kickers in the 3rd round. You won't regret it.
I don't know about that. That might be a little bit extreme, but yeah, he did score a lot of points, and I think the underwhelming, the whole tight end position as a whole, I think is what had it. There was no really good. Now be careful because I know a lot of you guys. Brock Bowers, I think he led it for the tight ends. Kittle might be up there too. Might be either first or a close second, but same exact thing happens with Laporta. He came in and scoring a lot of points, touchdowns, receptions. He looked great, and I think it might be the same case here. So, like, where'd he go? So be careful doing the tight ends next year. That's your fair warning. What I would say is I'm taking Kittle from now on. He seems to be the most consistent. And being the tight ends are way down in the bottom of the list this year for points. Just look at that. But yeah, I had Jaden Daniels on mine too. especially the running potential and the scoring and throwing, passing, running, you name it. I think
I like what you did there.
I think he's up there, uh, and we talked about it too a couple weeks ago about rookie of the year, him and Bo Nix. So it just gets you a lot of fantasy points. But let's go away from the fantasy world. Congrats to everyone that made your playoffs. I'm gonna win. We are gonna talk about kind of we'll tie this all in together. Is a whole generic. I want to talk about AFC game of the week: Bills and Lions V2. We called it, I think, during our pick'ems. Who does Josh Allen secure the MVP talk after the performance last time? I think he broke a record. Is that performance make him the clear winner after Lamar seemingly kind of dropped off a little bit here? Or on the other side, does Goff have a case? Does he put up a good foot to possibly take some votes off of that? We're gonna talk about one seed with a Bills loss, or the Chiefs pretty much secured, and we're gonna talk about playoff teams as a whole in the AFC. Is it pretty much set in stone? Like, is there any possible way for a team to drop out at this point on the bubble to move up, or is it pretty much like, yeah, the team's in it now, they're ahead so far, they win 2 out of 4 weeks, and it's pretty much the seeding is where it's at right now. And let's not forget the guys we talk about leading the division, the kind of guys that are hiding in the background. 2 games behind a number 1 seed, and now behind the Bills. Do the Steelers have a shot? Are they actual contenders? So let's talk about the whole AFC, all of that. I know that was a lot. Let's start with like the MVP talks going into playoffs set in stone. And are we disrespecting the Steelers by not thinking they're a chance to actually go all the way this year?
I will say, I'll start with the Steelers. First and foremost, honestly, the Steelers right now have the same record as the Buffalo Bills. Who would have thunk? You know, it was a big question with 2 quarterbacks that were very underwhelming, not very good at all, and they came in and they're playing with a defensive squad that is usually top of the league and that is holding true currently. I think it's kind of one of those things where people are just like, it's the Steelers. They're not a playoff team because blah, 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 whatever. They haven't won a Super Bowl and blah, 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 whatever. I think it is kind of disrespectful not to write them in that conversation. They are 10-3. They're looking fantastic. Russell is playing, obviously, much better than he was in Denver. So you look at the Steelers going 10-3, and they're beating teams that people really, I mean, in the beginning of the year, really nobody thought they'd beat a lot of the teams that they're beating. But, I mean, if you look at the first 3 games, which are always pretty tough to gauge, because the first 2 weeks are pretty much still preseason, whatever. They beat the Falcons, who in the beginning of the year were pretty legit. They beat the Broncos, who now are pretty legit. They beat the Chargers, who are pretty legit. I mean, they beat the Ravens by 2. That's a very tough game to do. I mean, they beat the Commanders, the Bengals, the Browns-Bengals offense is outstanding. The Browns are doo-doo, dog water, sell the franchise, trash. But now we're looking at the end of the schedule. This is the tough part. We're looking at the end of the schedule. The last 4 games are all very formidable opponents. They already beat the Bengals. That's the last game of the year for them. But they have the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. I think personally, at this point in the year, going into these games, these are going to be the games that are going to tell you whether or not they are actually Super Bowl capable. Obviously, the Eagles being one of the best teams in the league this year. The Ravens, who have a propensity to just score a ton of points with Derrick Henry, they either win by 40 or lose by like 6. So, and then the Chiefs have Black Magic behind them. So, that's going to be tough. and then they got the Bengals last game, like I said. So it's going to be interesting. This is kind of what I'm looking for to see if they're actually a contender in the Super Bowl or not. But they do not have an MVP. Now, let me talk to you about who does have an MVP of the National Football League. Josh Allen, last game, 6 total touchdowns, which accounted for, I don't know if you guys know how to do math, but 6 times 7 is 42. Accounted for all of their points. He was involved in every single one. 3 rushing, 3 passing touchdowns. Absolute bonkers insane. This dude is playing on an absolute different level. He is first in the league in QBR. He is taking the Bills and carrying them on his back. I mean, he's a farm boy, so he's got a very strong back. He's a beautiful human being. He is.
Yeah.
Who said it? Who said what? He is taking this team, who everybody had written off because of the defensive losses. Stephon Diggs. He pretty much had nobody to pass to in the beginning of the year besides a drafted rookie that nobody had any idea about, who is actually turning into a pretty good receiver. He's a big dude, athletic for sure, wins jump balls. And now they got Amari Cooper. Their defense last game really shut down. And like I said, I'm not very broken up about the loss because we already clinched the division. But I mean, this dude in the beginning of the year had nobody, and he's taken to this team to 10-3. You look at, Jared Goff, like you mentioned, he's got an absolute squad around him. He's got David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, he's got Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's got Sam Laporta. So, looking at that, it's really most valuable player, and it's very hard, like we said a couple weeks ago, it's very hard to pin one person on that Detroit Lions team that is most valuable. I mean, both of the running backs have a pretty similar snap count, and I mean, Amon-Ra is just a monster. He has been the past 2 years. So I don't know if I could give it to Jared Goff just based on the numbers that David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are putting up. Obviously, commanding the game under center, being a quarterback, you're handing the ball off to the running backs, but then you kind of take a step back unless they do one of their Detroit Lions special trick plays where they do a triple under loop, zigzag, toss back, Jared Goff, deep in the end zone, whoopsie daisy type thing.
They turn around 360 and hey, look, it's a bunny.
Yeah, exactly.
Pulled out of the hat.
If somebody drops off from the top of the upright, like freaking Ezio Auditore in Assassin's Creed, and just catches the ball on his way down. Or that one time in Roblox football, when we clicked the game
to the sky.
Yeah, we literally floated to the sky and then dropped down and caught a touchdown pass. But Saquon, dude, we were talking about Derrick Henry. And the reason that I said Derrick Henry wouldn't get it is because of the record. I mean, there's a conversation there to 2 people on the same team, Derrick Henry or Lamar. Which one's going to get MVP? You look at the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs, or David Montgomery, or Jared Goff, or Amon-Ra St. Brown. But on the Bills, it's literally one person only, that is carrying the entire team, and it's Josh Jaddy Allen. So for me, it's clear cut. Biased or not, it really doesn't matter. It's clear cut that he is the MVP of the year this year.
Who do you think locks number 1 seed, and is there any room for teams to get in the playoffs in the AFC?
Unfortunately, very unfortunately, I think the Chiefs are locking the number 1 seed. They have the easiest back end of the schedule here, at 12-1 because of, like I said, Black Magic. They have next game is pretty much we'll see. Cleveland at home, if it ends up snowing, would be cool. Jameis Winston loves the snow. He's gotten a lot of clips that are posted around where he's just praising the snow, and it's very cool. He's a very bright, positive person. But he's got to play the Chiefs, who have, an otherworldly luck behind them. The last 3 games, Texans, good team. Steelers, great defense. Broncos, great defense. And both the Steelers and Broncos are producing on offense as well, so it's kind of I think the last 3 games are really going to dictate, how well the Chiefs are for, the playoffs. But unfortunately, I think they get the number 1 seed in the AFC. And realistically, if it's not the Chiefs, it's the Bills or the Steelers. I would take, personally, I mean, this week is a tough test for the Bills, but the Steelers, I mean, dude, they have the Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, and Bengals. So I would say they drop 3 at the end of the year. If not 2, they might split with the wins. But after this week for the Bills, I mean, it's Lions and then Patriots, Jets, Patriots. I mean, the last 3 games being divisional matchups is kind of tough, but it's also the Patriots and the Jets. So I can see the Bills, honestly, winning all 4 of these games, maybe losing to Detroit this week. But, I mean, you're pretty much looking at, 13-4 record, even 14-3. It really depends on the Lions game because I don't see them losing to the Patriots or Jets in the last 3 games. So that being said, the last 3 games for the Chiefs might end up with a realistically a tied record, but the Bills don't have black magic, so we'll see. We'll see. I like the Bills for 1 seed or the Chiefs. That's pretty much what I'm going with.
Yeah, in terms of ASC, it's probably gonna be the Chiefs just because of their game up because of the stupid, oh god awful defense. Oh my. But yeah, I think if that game never existed, never happened, um, or if we could actually play defense and got a win there, I think it was 100% Bills. I think Kansas City. I think they lose either definitely one or probably even 2 games to close out the season here. I think, which would have given us the 1 seed. But now that that's the now that we lost against the Rams, I don't think we're getting the 1. It's just a battle between the second place here, and I mean Steelers have the head to head with Kansas City. I think it kind of almost depends on if they beat them. They might also just sneak in and grab the 2 spot from us, which would be sad. But either way, I think it's gonna be tight. But I think the Chiefs with their black magic are gonna take the 1 seed there. In terms of MVP, there's still a couple weeks left. Anything could happen any given Sunday. Saquon could run for 10 trillion yards and get the MVP. Lamar Jackson, uh, the Ravens, Derrick Henry could get injured. Zay Flowers could get injured. All of their amazing players on that, all their MVP caliber teammates on that team could get injured, and then maybe he might be the MVP of that, if even that team. And then so maybe he might get MVP, but never gonna happen. So sorry if you're a Ravens fan, but don't cry because Josh Allen is getting MVP when about the same exact things happened last year, except even tenfold because he had like 12 touchdowns on the year when Josh Allen had 44 and he didn't get it that year. So I really don't want to hear you crying all over Twitter. Lamar Jackson, someone better. Yeah, shut up. It's really a race between Saquon and Josh Allen, but I mean, I don't know. It's a quarterback award. Josh Allen breaking records, breaking multiple records this year, and I mean, who's his supporting cast, right? I mean, none of you can even say you knew who Khalil Shakir was prior to this year, probably even. And Amari Cooper has like less than 30 targets on the year, so don't even say that we have a superstar. Amari Cooper, yeah, shut up. No, you're just dumb. So yeah, for me, Josh Allen is the MVP. Jared Goff, also you could also be lucky to even call him the most valuable player on his team too.
What do you got for AFC? Any team sneaking in? Do you have?
No, it's set in stone for playoffs.
Okay.
I mean, number 1 is probably Chiefs. Other than that, it's kind of a toss up between rankings. I mean, Chargers, Broncos, they have a head to head too, so that'll be a really important matchup there for them. But
How do you
other than that, I think it's pretty set in stone.
feel about the Steelers being a potential, actual, realistic
That
Super
one,
Bowl team?
ooh, yeah, no, Steelers suck. And yeah.
I'm waiting to see Nicholas come on.
That's the only reason why I said that. No, the Steelers are a tough team for sure, especially if they get the 2 spot. A lot of these games are going to be running through Pittsburgh, which is also very scared, or scary. You know, it'll be tough. You know, I'm in fear for my life from the long arm of the law. You know, if we got to play them at home, it's gonna be a rough one.
I
But
want to know, Caleb, if you
to win the
actually
Super
think,
Bowl,
I want to
we'll
know if
see.
you think the Steelers are actually well slated to take the 2 seed from us if the Chiefs don't get it based on their last 4 games.
Wait, what?
So you said the Steelers might sneak in and get that 2 seed
Yeah.
from us if the Chiefs don't get the 1 seed. Or if
I'm
the
betting that
Chiefs
we
lose.
lose this one. We go down a game on the Steelers, and then after that, I mean,
Well, like I said, you look at the Bills play the Patriots, Jets, and Patriots, who, I mean, those teams are absolute dog water. And then the Steelers have to play the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chiefs,
win.
the Bengals.
Okay, they beat the Ravens. They beat the Eagles.
You think they beat the Ravens?
Yeah.
You think they beat the Eagles?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Chiefs too. Yeah.
I think
Bengals
the
they already
Chiefs.
did, so why not do it again?
Well, they already did, but it was a close game. You know, 6 point
Okay.
game in Cincinnati, yeah, and then obviously they have to come play in Pittsburgh, but
All
you
right.
know, those are tough opponents to
Okay.
play week after week. I mean, they're playing in Philly and then in Baltimore, and then they play against the Chiefs, which that's just broken, unfair, not cool.
I think the Eagles are still frauds.
Yeah, it almost it
That's what
feels
I
like
said,
that
too.
to me too. But it's my burning
Saquon,
hatred for 'em.
Saquon MVP. Literally, it's the passing game. If them picking up Saquon changed their record this year from like middle of the pack team to what it is right now, I think Saquon Barkley has single-handedly carried that team.
Backwards.
I mean, they really haven't.
Brutal, man.
Their schedule is not very hard. I'm looking at it now. It's really not very hard.
Still,
They beat one really good team in the Ravens, and that's pretty much it. I mean, the
ours
Commanders
wasn't
were on their
that hard
down
either.
slope.
All right, I think for sake of time here, I'm gonna keep my portion pretty quick, and we'll move on to everyone's favorite game. But when it comes to the Steelers, I'm with brother here. I'm still not 100% sold, and you know, having the Dallas Cowboys beat one of their 3 losses, that's got to be in the back of their mind as they enter the postseason.
And the Browns.
Because we're always, you know, when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, you always think about them, in or not, you know, and that one loss, it's gonna eat them when they hit the end of the year here. No, I'm just kidding, but yeah, I'm gonna have to see against these next heavily matched opponents to see whether I lean one way or the other on them. I'm gonna agree. I think it's pretty much locked. The only 2 teams ahead, Colts, who are 2 games behind, and Dolphins, who are 2 games behind.
No.
I think they both drop a game this week. And especially, man, I thought the Dolphins could pull it off, but after dropping a game and watching them go to overtime against the Jets, I just don't have a lot of trust in that either. So I'm going to go ahead and pretty much set in stone, lock it in for the 7 that are in right now are going to be your postseason teams for the UFC. 1 seed, unfortunately, it's going to go to the Chiefs. That's what I have on that as well. And MVP race. You guys had a lot of good points. I think that Josh Allen has been in the conversation the past few years now. A lot of arguments on he should have won. Obviously, we have the back-to-back Lamar. He's slipping out of it. Now, what I will say is I like everything you guys were saying about the team behind him. Who does he have to throw to? Superstar this, running back, run get. It all adds up. But when it comes to it, and when you look at the MVP, to be completely honest, I don't think any of that matters. I think there's a slight eye test on who's looking the good, who's winning games. Record, I think, has a big part to play in it, and I think stats has a lot to play in it. You got Josh Allen, touchdowns. They're going to look at interceptions. They're going to look at yards. They don't give a crap who they throw it to when it comes to this the MVP thing, which, in my opinion, I think kind of gives like a you got to give at least a look. It's a case that Goff in 12-1 and the Lions, and this is the super house of the NFL, and I think we can all agree they are looking like probably are the best team in the league. You got to give them a case there. You got to look at it, and they don't care how many superstars you have on the team. They're going to look at the stats. They're going to look at the eye test. I think both of them fit in a pretty good category there. So you just don't know when it comes down to it. And that's what I have to say about the race. So real quick, we don't have enough time for it. I really wanted to, maybe we could do this for next week or something, but I really wanted to talk about, and I'm talking, we're doing this 30 seconds, Juan Soto contract, 15 years, $765 million. Is this going to have any implications on the future for contracts in other sports, long-term deals, or is just this like a baseball thing? This is crazy, unheard of, one and done kind of thing. Is this going to change some things up? Having these football guys go to their agents, why can't we work, something like that? I want to retire like that for 20 years too. Real quick, like literally, yes or no, what do you guys think?
Okay, I'll put my piece in really quick. So the MLB is the only sport without a salary cap, so you can pay people as much money as you want to. A lot of that money can also be deferred. Like Shohei Ohtani's contract, $700 million for 7 years. He deferred 98% of his contract, so then he gets paid.
Yeah, I think this is a
2%
5-year thing, right?
year.
5 year, and then he has an option or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of it's guaranteed though in baseball.
Yeah, no salary cap in the MLB. Every other sport has a salary cap, so you have that to work with. And if you sign that one good player to basically eat up your entire salary cap, your team is going to be dog water anyway. So there's really no purpose in putting out huge contracts like that. He's not worth the money. $765 million, cool. You got paid, but you are not worth the money. Yes, he's a fantastic hitter, probably one of the top 3 best in the game right now. However, his fielding is not good. He is not great at running. He hits the hell out of the ball, yeah, sure, but
quick.
not worth the money.
Caleb, do you see this happening in long terms like this in the future?
No, not for any other sports. Wasted his career on the Mets, so I guess good for him, but also haha. And baseball. Woo, sports.
Whee! Okay, we're going.
Not okay. Yeah.
We're going on to everybody's favorite game of the week.
It's time for It's Okay, It's Not Okay.
Here we go, guys.
Thank you.
And this is one that I dove into a couple times just before the podcast started. Is it okay or not okay for players to have their own podcast? Looking at the grand scheme of it, of course, you can do whatever you want kind of thing. But when it boils down to it, in this media world, is it too distracting? Do they take time to prepare for their weekly podcast to do this instead of watching film? Do they talk too much about what obviously they're just having fun on it. Is it distracting? Basically, is what I'm getting at. Okay or not okay for NFL active players to have a podcast during the football season?
I will say this. It's kind of the way I look at it is being a professional athlete, you don't really get a lot of time. Like, yeah, you have, especially in the NFL, you have one game per week, but you practice every day. You do like media things. You go out and do, signatures, what have you. So you really don't have a lot of time to relax, kind of take a break. Now, depending on what you do on the podcast, I look at the Kelsey brothers when they're doing their podcasts. Most of it's fun. It's upbeat. It's light. And something like that, you're sitting down, especially when they're on different teams, you're sitting down with your brother and just kind of having a moment of peace and really unwinding and talking to, your brother or brothers. Um, really just kind of taking a step back from the football world, which I think these athletes, some of them kind of need a little bit. I can't speak for them because I was never a professional athlete, but the way I think of it, it's a good way to just kind of forget about, all your duties as a professional athlete. Now, is that good or bad for the team? That is left to be said. I think it is a little bit of a distracting factor, but only if you let it be. So if you start getting obsessed with ratings and you start getting into beef about, like, you said something on the podcast and like a bunch of people are saying, no, you're an idiot. And then you get in these heated arguments with other people, or you say something on the podcast that is kind of iffy, you get in a little bit of either trouble or somebody's like, hey, oh, what, like, why are we saying this? Like, what happened? It causes controversy. Then it gets kind of real dicey. So, in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to say it's not okay because you have an obligation with your team to not only act right, but watch what you say, be careful what you say. And most of the time, when you get in that state of just kind of like unwinding and relaxing and not really caring about football, there could be things that are said that are detrimental to, I wouldn't say detrimental. That's kind of a stretch, but it could hurt your team. It could hurt your teammates. It could hurt the fan base. So it just draws a very negative light on you as a player. I'm not saying that's how they all are, but it definitely could. It takes one single sentence, and we all know it. It takes one sentence, and the media just runs with it and takes it and narrates it whatever way they want to. So I'm gonna say it's not okay. Focus on football. Focus on playing. Don't let these outside distractions, these people that want to talk, run with a story that is way out of context, which happens way too often. So it's not okay.
I think it's totally fine, guys. Yeah, these guys are professional athletes. They have to be training. They have to be doing all this and that. But all of them, they have off days, right? They can have some time to themselves. And what is like an hour, 2 hour podcast to just sit and chill and relax and talk? Obviously, don't do anything stupid, say anything detrimental to your actual main source of income, which I'm sure a lot of people they try not to. But even if you do, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? A little slap on the wrist. Oh, this media. Oh, he said something. But no, well, who cares what you say? Obviously that doesn't work a lot because media is that's a whole other story. But yeah, I think it's totally fine. Just sit, relax. Sure, if you have some brothers, why not make a podcast? Am I right, guys? But yeah, I think it's totally fine. Just a couple hours, sit down. It's not really taking up too much of your time, and if it's something you want to do in your off time, then you know what? It's your off time for a reason. Go for it, buddy. Especially if you can make maybe a little extra money on the side and have a future too in entertainment afterwards. I know that's a lot. Like Jason Kelsey, for example, he started his podcast, but and now now he's everywhere now. So
He was on GMM.
Yeah.
oh, he's on GMM. Yeah, I saw that. I watched the episode today. Actually,
Yeah,
that was really cool.
He was on a little
Yeah.
while ago, wasn't he?
Oh, he went all in and lost it all.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, wasn't it really like this morning?
Oh, really? Like today?
I think.
I
Yeah,
I thought he was on
thought so.
before. Might
no,
be
it was him and Kelsey. Or
No, I watched it today, so I'm assuming it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it was today, 18 hours ago.
Okay.
Jason Kelsey,
That's cool.
GMM.
I'll have to check
And
that
Mythical
out.
Morning. Go watch that.
Yeah,
It was a good video.
For me, it boils down to a couple different things. I have a very passionate take on this, but it's all about timing. One, for Jason Kelsey, he's at the end of. He started his podcast. He has like a year left, 2 years. That's perfectly fine. You're retiring from football either way. I think with the media thing, it does become way too distracting. You know, you get your media takes from that, your likes, your clicks, and the whole the thing. What brother was saying, like the beef. You talk too much about it. You bring in a whole bunch of like, oh well, this is why. It's we lost this game because of X and X. I think the only way it's gonna be okay for me, if it's gonna be during the season, is if you have a podcast completely unrelated from football. If you're going in and talking straight about the season, I think there's just too much stuff, and this all boils down to me for the Micah Parsons podcast when he came out with his, and I absolutely hated it. Not and yes, that it's something that of course you could do whatever you want in your free time and talk and football. Of course, start a podcast, but I think this is a thing where like it's a line where you're like, is he more focused on becoming a caster at this point? Does he want to be a Tony Romo at this point? Or is he more focused on being, in the film, studying what he has to do, become a better player, team focused, and not going online and posting this whatever hour long talk about why you lost the game and teams and different teams in the league and what's going on right now. I think it just becomes too much of a problem for right now, unless it's unrelated, unless also you're a seasoned veteran player last few years like Kelsey was. Same thing, even the argument for Travis, they get on, they have a cool, good time, and this is something to, what does he have left? He's already been in the NFL for so long. But we're going long on time here, so you guys heard our thoughts on that. You heard a couple it's okays. You also heard a couple not okays. Let us know on Twixter. We're going to post it over there. Whether you think it's okay for NFL players to start a podcast, have a podcast, and maintain a podcast during the football season. We are going to be here next week. Thank you guys for tuning in for another beautiful week of the NFL. We're going to see you for week 15. Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. If you don't know, you should know. Every single week at the Fastcast. Find us anywhere. Check out our Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. And go Cowboys. I'm sure we're going to get a Go Bills. Yep, saw that one coming. And we'll see you all next week.
Yep, saw that coming.